Life's about feeling good. If you want it, you should.
In our last episode, we told you that we had decided to make an offer on the 1998 Hatteras 52 Sport Deck motor yacht, which was located on Lake of the Woods in Ontario, Canada.
Yeah, we made that offer. So in this episode, we're going to take you through that whole process, making the offer, the acceptance, the survey, the whole deal.
Which was very interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, and then I'm going to fly up for that survey. We're going to see what they found out. And then I'm going to fly back to Vermont. Lisa and I are going to load up a U-Haul with all the things we think we need for living 2 years on the boat. Then I'm going to drive that up, put it in storage in Superior.
In storage. Another storage unit. 4 different storage units in 4 different states.
Yeah, you got to have some stuff. So, from there, we're going to have a bit of drama in this episode as well. So we've got some trucking issues for getting the boat across. We've got some border issues, some confusion there. And then we're going to find an old survey from about 1.5 years ago with some interesting findings. And then lastly, probably the biggest, the boat itself is going to end up stuck in probate court in Canada. So sit back and relax. We hope you enjoy the episode.
Are you stuck? Caught on the hamster wheel of life? Is your work-life balance out of balance? We have been there, done that, been caught up in the job, and forgetting about what matters. Being balanced, centered, and happy. So follow us as we pull our anchor and take you along on our journey from chaos to balance.
So we made that offer on July 7th of 2024. We submitted it to the owner's broker, and our issues with him, they continued. We decided we would call the owner, and I expressed to him that if we were going to get this deal done, he and I would need to work it out, as his broker was not helping at all, and he acknowledged it. Also, I made it clear to the owner that we had expressed interest in his boat way back in April, and we've been talking to his broker ever since then, kind of off and on, seemingly whenever it was convenient for him.
So back to the current issue. We knew we needed a boat or a broker since the boat had to come across the border, and we wanted to make sure we did it right. So we called Tom, the guy we met on the Sea Ray 540, and asked if he would get involved to ensure that the deal was smooth and that we were protected, and he jumped right in.
Yeah, that was really good. And at this point, the owner and I, we were emailing back and forth, working out all the details of the disassembly, the reassembly, trucking it, and we came up with a final agreement on all the details, just pending a survey.
So now it was time to get the agreed terms in the hands of the brokers. Our broker was fine with everything and wrote it up and sent it off to the selling broker, who was not happy there was someone else involved.
Yeah. In fact, I had to have a very direct phone call with him. And I explained that the way he'd been treating us, what he was saying about the owner he was representing, and his responsiveness, it just wasn't going to work. We needed to get this deal done and the boat apart and back together before Labor Day so we could get moving on the water before winter set in.
Yeah, remember, we're up north where boats are winterized and put away well before the end of September. And we needed to get across Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, while marinas were still open for fuel, and before the fall weather set in, which really meant big waves, which we had zero interest in.
Yeah, that's for sure. So Tom got even more involved, and we agreed that the next step would be the surveys, which would happen over 2 days on July 24th and 25th.
So Dell talked with the owner, his broker, our broker, to find surveyors, and the engine surveys went really easy. One call, and it was all scheduled.
Yeah, so for the boat side, it wasn't so easy. I tried to find someone in Canada, but no luck. Even a guy who had done a survey on this exact boat in fall of 23, he said, I don't want to travel that far again. So a little side note, in September of 23, the boat had been sold pending a survey. Now, the survey came through, and there were a few things in the list, and a couple of majors. The biggest one, the electrical system, it didn't meet NMMA code due to the electrical system using a common and a ground together like you would in a house. And the second thing was there were no isolation transformers. Now, having been in the business a bit, I knew the boat had to have had at least one isolation transformer. And so I started Googling, did a little looking around. Yep. Now, the boat not only had 1, but 2 isolation transformers. And with that, it does meet NMMA code, and they were installed behind the couch. You see them here. Now, with isolation transformers, it also meant that the AC system being wired like a house was actually okay. It's the way the manufacturer intended it. So get a good surveyor. It's equally as important as a good broker, maybe even a little more, as they can call out things that are not a concern, or miss major items that are.
So you can imagine Dell was skeptical about a surveyor. Even with his experience with this large of a boat, we needed a complete survey. And we kept searching and found a gentleman in Duluth.
Yeah, so I called him, and a few conversations later, he was scheduled. Now, also, the guy who had bought it before did not back out because of the survey, but instead, he wanted the boat delivered to Florida in November, and he was adamant about that. Now, the survey had been done in September, and then they would have needed to take it all apart and truck it to Florida. So the owner of the boat actually refused the deal and said no way was he going to try to take the boat apart that far north in October. So he proposed April-May disassembly, May-June trucking. Now the buyer, he refused that, so the owner backed out of the deal, which was really good for us.
Yeah, it's amazing when you've never lived up north and you don't realize how quick the weather changes, and Kenora is further north than we have ever lived as well. And for the last 11 years, the boat was in the water 3 months, June, July, and August.
Yeah, that's all it got used. I then flew to Duluth, and I rented a car and drove up to Kenora. I wanted to understand the route the truck was going to take, what I was going to take. I needed to find storage in Superior because we'd have to bring all of our stuff with. And then I wanted to be ready, to really get the boat apart and back together. So I got up to the boat a day before the surveyor and started the plan for disassembly. Now, I documented the order I wanted the boat to come apart in, and I started photographing wire connections and the routing, getting everything ready. Now, the day of the survey, everything went well. We went out for a sea trial, ran it up to max RPMs. We got 24 knots out of it. All systems checked out, so now it was time to put the boat, or pull the boat and check the bottom and the running gear. Now, lifting a boat always makes me nervous, but a boat this size, with a lift of the age it was, I was extra nervous. The surveyor checked the runout on the shafts and the cutlass bearings, all checked out good. Now, he did find that one rope cutter was worn and was causing a clicking noise, which he heard while we were out underway. Now, he then went on to do his moisture readings, and there was one area that was a little bit high on the port side, a splash rail. Now, we'll touch on that more in later episodes. Then he did the plastic hammer test on the hull. And technically, this is called a percussion test. And what it is to identify changes in the sound, which would mean an issue with the integrity of the hull. And you hear it here. Now, everything checked out well. We put it back in the water. Started the second day, I recorded this. All right, so it is Thursday, July 25th. We're here in Kenora, Ontario at Northern Harbor Marina, which is on Lake of the Woods. Beautiful lake. But we're here to do the survey on the 1998 Hatteras 52 Sport Deck. Yes, it's a 2-day survey. So yesterday we did a lot of systems, did a sea trial. All in all, went quite well. We actually hauled the boat, checked the running gear. The dripless seals were good. The rudders were good. The packing on the rudders were good. All the bearings, everything checked out. A little engine alignment needed, but nothing major. So good news. Today, Toromont Caterpillar is coming from Winnipeg. They're going to do survey on the 2 Cat engines, as well as check out the genset. So fingers crossed we have another good day today with no big surprises. and we're going to be in great shape and starting to figure out how we take this big girl apart and move her to Lake Superior and get our journey started. So, talk to you later.
The good news, after about 2 weeks, we got the surveys back, and just as they had told Dell, no major issues. And even the engine guy felt bad that he had to charge us looking at such good shaped engines, you know. And he said, give us a call when you have 1,000 hours on those. They'll be broken then.
Yeah, so I got back to Vermont, and now it's important to know that we had sold our house and moved out back in June. And we had a bunch of stuff in storage, and we'd been actually living in our motorhome until we sold that. Then we had to mooch a bedroom off of some of our friends.
So we loaded up the U-Haul with everything we wanted to put in the boat, the tools, the kitchen items, the clothes, the dog stuff, everything to live on the boat for the next 2 years.
Yeah, so we had filled this little U-Haul, plus I needed to pull our dinghy out there and store that in Superior as well.
So while Dell was driving, he got a call from the owner's broker, and he said that we needed to hire a closing company to do all the paperwork to get the boat Coast Guard documented. He also said that there would be duties bringing the boat into the U.S., and it could be 7.5% to 10%, which we did not plan that.
Yeah, so, again, with this broker, so I had done the research, and what I saw was 0.5% to 1.5%. So another call to Tom, our broker, and I said, hey, Tom, do you know of a good closing? Well, he was already way ahead of us. He had a closing company already organized. In fact, he had told the owner's broker this already. And this was the start of more unnecessary drama from that owner's broker.
So the next few weeks were really tough. From duty conversations to trucker issues to tax confusion, it was a tough time. And Dell was doing updates on his drive.
Here are a couple of clips of the drive from Vermont to Superior. It was not uneventful. Well, here we are. It is August 2nd. We're leaving Vermont. Lisa's already left. She's taking the dogs. They're headed to Wichita, Kansas. Stay with my son for a few weeks while we get the boat ready. I am in a U-Haul. It is about 88 degrees outside, about 100% humidity. And a U-Haul air conditioner just quit. Awesome. So, good news is, looks like there's some rain up ahead coming. So we're going to hope and pray that it cools it off here a little bit. So here's our update for August 3rd. On our trip. So, yeah, you can hear it. Air conditioning still doesn't work. Spare you a bit of that for a minute. It is under 100 in here, so I can, free it up for just a second. So, right now, coming into Cleveland, it's not getting any cooler. We're now running with 2 windows down, and it's just awesome. It's now 90 degrees at 4:30 in the afternoon. You gotta love the wind noise. So, no AC. It was hot, and I may have been getting a little bit delusional, as you can see from this clip. Sorry for the wind noise. Still no air conditioning, but I thought it was interesting. I don't know if it's coming through the size of this hill, but it's got to be the biggest hill I've ever driven up in Wisconsin. Nothing compared to Vermont, but hey, a hill. Now, once I arrived in Superior, I headed over to Barker's Island Marina to have a look. And here's some footage of that. Well, we've arrived in Superior, Wisconsin. There's a marina down there. Made it to Barker's Island, so this is the marina. It is quite a large marina. Can't even see the end of it. Big yard, so travel lift and everything is over there. And then on this end, looks like they got a few on the hard in here as well. I'm not sure where they'll go to unload us or where they'll set us up to reassemble, but we'll work with them on that on Monday. I then went over to the hotel right beside the marina, and I went to have dinner. and I came across this young gentleman playing, and I wish I could remember his name, but over the next few months, Lisa and I, we went and listened to him every Thursday that we were in town. He's still playing. He was really good. And he even learned a Noah Kahn song for us in the fall. And he was so proud, and we just loved it. He did a great job. So after that, I got up early in the morning and I went to unload the U-Haul. I really wanted to have AC, and you know, the heat was not too bad, but I just wanted that thing gone and returned and get my rental car. So here is the storage unit all filled up. Full. Got the dinghy in, got the tools, put the more like clothing and that kind of stuff towards the back. So then I went over to see Doug, the surveyor, and get the final report, which we needed to get into the insurance company.
And Doug was a huge help as he helped, you know, he knew a lot about the area. He was really helpful in getting us ideas where to stay, where to get parts, much, much more.
Yeah, so time now to load tools and a few things I needed for disassembly. Go on in, get all of our stuff, load it up, head up to Canada, get the boat unloaded. A new hot rod there, the Bronco. And I set off for Kenora on August 5th. Now, in between the offer acceptance and traveling to Ontario, the closing team was working on the Canadian documentation. The boat was documented in Canada. Now, it had to be delisted with the Canadian Coast Guard before being able to be documented by the U.S. Coast Guard. And right there, pow, we got hit in the face with the fact that the boat had been put into his wife's name, and unfortunately she had passed away about 4 or 5 months earlier. So at this point, what do? Do I continue to drive up for the disassembly, or you know, do I just go home?
It was tough. We all had our stuff, you know, in storage in Superior. Dell was there. Now walking away would be really hard, but we really needed to make a decision.
Yeah, so Lisa and I talked, and then I talked with the owner and, you know, expressed our concerns, and he said it would be a quick fix in his mind, and he would suggest that we just keep going. His lawyer would do all the work, get it all corrected while we were doing the disassembly. So I figured, wow, we have 2 to 3 weeks to take it apart, you know, depending on the weather, so it would be in our name when we cross the border. And the owner and I were also working on securing a truck to haul the boat.
We were calling everyone. We were told there was a place near Toronto, but they didn't have a trailer big enough. Place in the U.S. would haul the boat, but none of them would go up into Canada. So, yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, I assumed the trucking part would be the easy part. I was searching and searching, calling around. And I finally got a lead on U.S. boat haulers. Called them, gave them the time frame, all the details, and they said it would work. Plus, he was licensed to pick it up in Canada, and we finally got a win.
Finally. So join us for the next episode as Del goes up to Kenora to start the disassembly, and I travel up once we start assembly and think the issues are over. No. So please like, subscribe, and ring the bell for our next episode.
Life's a blessing.